Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 2021 at my driver career mode. Today, we have the Singapore GP coming your way. I accidentally deleted the practice and qualifying sessions, so you're not actually going to see those here today. But we qualified outside of Q3 once again coming into this GP. But just like last season in practice, I don't know why or what it is about Singapore, but I couldn't beat the practice programs to save my life. Qualifying was half decent here, so we're going to jump straight into the Singapore GP here tonight now as we look to bounce back after two DNFs in a row coming into my favorite track here on the circuit. So let's go to the grid.
Here we go then, it's Formula One in Marina Bay once again, and welcome to all of you at home who join us today for this fascinating race around the baking hot, horribly humid, but very beautiful streets of Singapore. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Let's have a chat about McLaren. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And talented Spaniard Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Daniel Ricciardo, and Hamilton. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Russell, Gasly, Vettel, and Esteban Ocon. Mick Schumacher, Bottas, they've taken a grid penalty. The rookie and Giovinazzi. Stroll, Perez, Callum Islet, and Guan Yu Zhou. Sonoda and Nicholas Latifi. And now it's time to head down to the track.
There you saw the starting grid here as we get ready to go from P13. You saw some grid penalties, including Valtteri Bottas, who starts down in 12th place. We start on the medium tire. It's a two-stop strategy for everybody pretty much here tonight. So I love two-stop races. Those are my favorite types of GPs here. And Singapore, very tough on the tire wear with just how hot and humid this place is now as we get ready to go lights out here in Singapore. Now, as you got Max Verstappen on the front row, his teammate Perez in the back as well due to a grid penalty here. As it's 5 red lights. Carlos Sainz joins Verstappen on the front row. It's lights out. We are underway here from Singapore. Lewis Hamilton all the way down in 5th place. Lando Norris, Leclerc 3rd and 4th as they dive down into turn 1. A clean start for Verstappen. Sainz as well as Norris nearly make some contact there in turn 1, but they kept it clean. They're still side by side here now as Hamilton is side by side with the Australian of Daniel Ricciardo now as Sainz tries to get the tip of the cap there over Lando Norris, and sure enough he does. He is out in front there of that number 4 in that McLaren as they come through down this long right-handed straightaway. As you see that Verstappen is well out in front at this point now, trying to continue to open up his championship lead. As I had a bit of a rough start here, now I'm actually surrounded by the two Haas drivers here now as I make a move up the inside of our former teammate Schumacher, nearly run him into the barrier. Fortunately, he did not actually hit that concrete wall there as you see Perez struggling alongside an AlphaTauri as well there, who got a grid penalty. Surprisingly, overall though, a clean start. I think Perez actually had trouble on the start last season in Singapore, so Singapore hasn't been great for him here in our F1 2021 at my driver career mode so far. As you see the other drivers just settling in, and that's exactly what we were doing. We were just settling in here, trying to make a push here towards getting just really to that DRS on lap 3 as we are behind Antonio Giovinazzi there in the Williams, our teammate of Sebastian Vettel there in P11 in front of us now, as he is now in front of us in points. He has been on it lately, and he's been able to get the best of us lately. Of course, with the DNFs, those haven't been helping us there as we crashed at the final lap of Monza, and then we had that mechanical failure last episode in Sochi on just what the 8th lap I think it was of that GP. So that was very unfortunate. I was looking forward to the Russian GP, and with the train effect that the AI have, I felt like that was a really good opportunity for us to have a really strong run. Unfortunately, we're never going to know how it would have gone here. Now, as at the end of lap 1 though, I actually get a warning there for exceeding track limits. A bit of a silly mistake for myself, but Lando Norris might have actually picked up damage on that contact in turn 1 with Carlos Sainz because he was replacing his wing. Now at the end of of this first lap going on to lap 2. Lewis Hamilton as well made a move up the inside of Charles Leclerc through these first few corners as they're going to battle it out side by side. Ricciardo ready to pounce on an opportunity if it arises now as they continue side by side through the right hand of Verstappen. Already checked out, he is long gone as you can see, but Carlos Sainz is not too far behind him as Hamilton sure enough takes over P3, but now Ricciardo is going to put the attack there to Leclerc as we head down towards this 90-degree left-hander. Now who's going to come out on top of this battle? Leclerc looks like he actually might be able to hold off Ricciardo. Yes, he does, so he stays out in front of him and holds on to that 4th position now as we come to lap 3. DRS enabled, and now we're right on the gearbox of Antonio Giovinazzi in the Williams. He tries to defend a little bit, but left enough room for myself to be able to make a move comfortably up the inside here. Now as we're going to be wheel to wheel, but he backs out at the last second on the exit of the corner, and sure enough, up into P11 we go. Just running in the points again is something I want to be able to do comfortably here in our My Driver career mode now, and we were closing in on points as everybody that we were running down now is on the soft tire, and soft tires, with how quickly this track wears your tires out, I felt like we were at a really good advantage right now to be able to put the attack to my teammate Vettel and even to the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas, who is struggling quite heavily right now to get through traffic and being Verstappen's biggest contender. Verstappen of course running up in P1. This is not a good run so far for Valtteri Bottas. A bit of a slip up there from Vettel towards the end of lap 5, but he and others are going to come into the pit lane here at the end of this 5th lap. There you see George Russell there for the Alpine brings it into the pit lane, so we go up into 9th place, and we had more pace than pretty much everybody in front of us that was in a close vicinity that is here now. But lap 7 underway, and you can see Lewis Hamilton has brought it into the pit lane, so is Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris is now of course trying to work his way through all of these guys that are pitting. Ricciardo had just come in, and there was Verstappen as well. Then a lap later, here comes Carlos Sainz into the pit lane, and this would actually put myself and Esteban Ocon up in the front of the grid here. Ocon P1, myself in P2, is obviously being on the medium tire. We can go quite a bit longer than these guys on the soft tire, so it wasn't going to be a pit stop for us for a few more laps at least, probably another 6-7 laps at this point. So we were closing the gap as well to Ocon. Giovinazzi behind us there in the Williams. And we're just, of course, holding our own at this point now. You got Schumacher and Stroll 4th and 5th, and we're starting to put some pressure here on Ocon really quick. So it wasn't a long time until we had, sure enough, run him down now to lap 11 within DRS range here, as you would get right to his gearbox. Not enough of a run right there to make a move up the inside, but now we knew we were within range to be able to make a move within the next straightaway in the DRS zone. So it was just about waiting for that, and sure enough, here we go with the DRS activated on lap 12. Verstappen now up into 5th place, but 8 seconds back, so we don't have to worry about him there. And now as you see, Ocon goes to the left, I go to the right, side by side, wheel to wheel, and an easy pass around the outside on Esteban Ocon there in the Alpine. So up a position that we go into the lead here of the Singapore GP. Obviously, we're not going to be winning this GP, but we're still having a fun time out here leading while we can now as we come through to the end of lap 12, and we were already pulling away by over a second, but then Ocon actually comes into the pit lane there. Now to lap 14, we were getting ready to make our pit stop. I was looking to stay out till lap 15, or doing about an extra lap than we had originally planned. Verstappen there now 7 seconds back, then it was down to 6 seconds. He was closing in very quick as Leclerc is actually out of the session. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari is going to be out here, and now it's a mechanical failure. No safety car comes out, so we would still, of course, hang on to the end of lap 15 and then bring it into the pit lane for our first of 2 pit stops here. And the original plan was to go from the medium tire, put on another set of medium tires, then put on a set of soft tires at the end of the race, but we changed it up here and actually put the soft tire on for our first stop, and then we're basically going to run, I don't even think we're going to run 10 laps on this set of soft tires. Then we're going to come in for our final stop, put on the medium once again. Vettel already gone through on the medium, so does Gasly, Bottas, as well as Giovinazzi, or sorry, Ocon. Giovinazzi's still behind us, but he's coming around the outside right now down into turn 1. So we shuffle down into 12th place. So we got some work to do, but we have a tire that is fresher than those mediums and way faster than those medium tires in front of us. So I really feel like we have found ourselves in a strategy that is really going to benefit us right now and towards the end of this GP as well, because these guys will not be taking soft tires on their final stop. They will be putting on another set of mediums likely, so that will as well put us on a level playing field nonetheless. So I really feel like we're at the advantage for the rest of this GP here now as we make a move up the inside of Giovinazzi. It went a little bit wide there, but we didn't get called for it, thank thank goodness. Now as we continue on our way, already on lap 18, our teammate of Sebastian Vettel, Gasly as well, coming back into the pit lane, as well as George Russell. So we were able to gain as much time as possible, but I feel like our soft tires were so fresh that even though they're putting on a new set of medium tires, we're still going to be putting a better pace up than them for another few laps or so. So my goal was to try and close up as much as possible to Bottas and then the car in front of him, which was Ocon, or Ocon then Bottas in front of him. The goal was to get as close to them as possible, then we make our pit stop for the final set of mediums. Now is Hamilton, Ricciardo there in the pit lane, so is Verstappen, who's already exiting here. So now as well, I was kind of considering them into the mix of when I want to pit. If Verstappen gets within probably 2-3 seconds, we're just going to come into the pit lane no matter what. I don't want to really impede him too much when I don't need to be. So you can see that we were already closing in on the back of Ocon as well as Bottas there, and Bottas comes in at the end of lap 20. So then it was about what is Ocon going to do here now, as our pit window was about to be open within another lap or two, as I went way too deep into turn 1 there. So we still run P2, but I see he's not pitting at the end of lap 21. I see an opportunity for an undercut, so I decided we're going to bring it in here a lap earlier than our pit window was originally open. We're going to put on that medium tire, and we're going to go all the way to the end of this Singapore GP. We're trying to replicate the success we had last season in Haas, where we got a 6th place finish in the Singapore GP now, as they put on that set of medium tires and we are off. Now where are we going to cycle out is the big question. Well, we're already down to P8, as all the main guys have gone past, with Sainz, Perez, just Red Bull, Ferrari, as well as Mercedes. Here comes Lance Stroll in the Haas, and a whole train of cars, including our teammate of Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas, who's had a miserable race here tonight in Singapore, but we come out in front of Latifi, but we're all the way down in 15th place. I did not expect to see this, but we had one advantage. You can see a huge train in front of us because Lance Stroll was holding up everybody, so I had to be on the attack. I got right to the gearbox of Gasly immediately, make a move up the right-hand side. We pass him for position, and up into only, 14th place we go. But you can see that nobody can pass Lance Stroll, and no matter how slow his car seems to be. I knew we had to take the opportunity while we had it, because Lance Stroll, of course, is going to be pitting soon now, as surprisingly, we have an opportunity to do this right here, make a move on Valtteri Bottas on the right-hand side with DRS activated, get to the back of our teammate of Vettel. Now Bottas tries to fight back here on the inside, but it's not going to happen there. Go a little bit wide, but they didn't call us for it now, so we go up into P13 now, and we have fresher tires than everybody in front of us here, not by a whole lot, but by enough, in my opinion, to make a bit of a difference, and that was showing here. I just have downright more grip at this point then my teammate of Vettel, then everybody around us now. As we go to the right-hand side, same situation as we just had with Valtteri Bottas here. Now as we're going to make that pass on our Aston Martin teammate, nearly makes some contact right there as we would move up into 12th place. Now what happened behind us is Vettel would actually start battling it out with some other drivers, and he actually picked up some wing damage. So he would end up having to come to the pit lane actually here and go all the way to the back and replace a wing. Now as this was a little bit beforehand with myself and Vettel doing our little battle. This is just a mid-race, or actually late race update at this point here. Now, as you see the top 10 right there, Lando Norris was rounding out that top 10 there, as you had Vettel, you had myself, you had Bottas, Gasly, all there in your top 15. Then it was Latifi, Guan Yu Zhou, Mick Schumacher, Callum Ilott, the final cars running, and then of course Charles Leclerc out of the GP. Your only DNF so far. Last season we had quite a chaotic Singapore GP. We had a safety car come out there with a big accident, but doesn't look like that's happening here tonight now, as Lance Stroll brings it into the pit lane, so that kind of lets people open it up there. But Russell had a miserable final turn, and that allows myself to fight him down into turn 1. There's his teammate of Esteban Ocon coming out of the pit lane right now, who stayed out way longer than I think anybody anticipated, but now he's on the soft tire, so he's going to have good pace, but he's got to make passes, and that's very tough to do here in Singapore now, as we're all over the back of Lando Norris. Now here's the new advantage. Well, Norris and Tsunoda are on hard tires, so we can easily complete these passes on both of them, and we're going to try and do that right here now as we try to look to the right hand side of Norris. Very well done on defense from him, but he is very vulnerable right here down into the right-hander. I tack on it, and we go a little bit too deep. I locked up the brakes. Not very often I actually have lockups in this Aston Martin, but it happened right there. But fortunately we kept it out of the barrier right there and avoided chaos now, as we're in front of the British driver of Lando Norris and try to run down Yuki Tsunoda there in the AlphaTauri BMW, and he was on the hard compound tire as well, so it was just a matter of time really. Same again situation as before on that long DRS straight, a move to the right-hand side of Yuki Tsunoda, and up into 6th place we go, just like where we were last season. A bit of a different way we got there, but what a rebound drive we've had tonight compared to what's happened over the last 2 GPs, with 2 consecutive DNFs, 3 DNFs on the season, 2 mechanical, 1 accident there in Monza. Now, as we were long gone, checked out from the field and just bringing it home at this point now, as we came through to the final 2 laps here in the Singapore GP. Perez has done an unbelievable recovery drive, starting at the back due to a grid penalty up there in P4. I believe he did a one-stop strategy, hard compound to medium compound tire, and it has worked brilliantly for him, and now makes me wonder what could have happened if we would have tried that strategy. As the final lap is underway here in the Singapore GP, Valtteri Bottas has had a miserable race here in Singapore. He had an opportunity to close in on points today here against Verstappen in the closing races of this season, but it's not going to happen today, as Verstappen has been unstoppable, no mistakes from him, and he is out in front on this final lap in these closing moments there. As you see Carlos Sainz up there in 5th place. So Verstappen is going to be able to increase his championship lead after having back-to-back non-podium finishes for the first time this season, which is just unthinkable at this point, but he's going to back that up what looks like to be with a Grand Prix win here in the Singapore GP. What a beautiful city here in Singapore. Look at the buildings there in the distance. One of my favorite venues on the circuit, or is my favorite venue, and hopefully a circuit that I can myself visit in real life at some point in time here now. As what a drive though from Max Verstappen here as he rounds the final turn. He is going to come through to win the Singapore GP and increase his championship lead. Hamilton's going to bring it home in the 2nd position. It's going to be the Australian of Daniel Ricciardo who's going to be able to round these final few turns and get a 3rd place finish here on the podium. Perez is going to come through just behind in 4th place, Sainz 5th, and then myself here coming through these final sectors into the 6th position, well out in front of Tsunoda and Norris, over 3 seconds to them, so no pressure whatsoever now, as they were holding up everybody behind them at this point now, including Valtteri Bottas here as we come through these final few corners. The fireworks going off here now, as you can see them to our right-hand side as we go under that big bridge down this final little straight into this left-hander, and we're going to come through to get back-to-back 6th place finishes in the Singapore GP. What a performance here for us, and one heck of a rebound considering what's happened recently in Monza as well as Sochi here. Now, as you see, the driver of the day is going to be Yuki Tsunoda, as we have some podium celebrations to handle here in Singapore.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly well-deserved win. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
And there you see the finishing order on your screen. Verstappen as well got the fastest lap, so we got an extra point out of that. And we know we at least overtook our teammate Vettel in points today with this really good performance. 8 points on the day for us in 6th place. Very, very happy with that. There's to see Vettel was down in 18th after having to replace that wing. I forgot to show what caused that, but he had some contact with an Alpine. I believe it was with Ocon there, as we are now 7 points ahead of Vettel, and of course Verstappen has increased that gap over Bottas there. So Verstappen's going to have a few issues here at the minimum in these closing GPs. He's going to need, I think, multiple DNFs and just a couple of bad races with maybe some grid penalties due to those DNFs to really bring Bottas back into the realistic mix to win his second consecutive World Drivers' Championship. But what an episode it was. A really strong day for us in Singapore, or strong night, I should say, here now. I love racing that track so much, and I think it shows goes here every time we come to this racetrack. But some more upgrades on the way, and that brings us a little bit closer to Ferrari now, as I think we will be sticking with Aston Martin next season in our My Driver career mode, as I don't really feel like we've proven ourselves to be a top tier driver yet. So I would like another season with them. But as always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time of your day to watch this episode. Just Japan, United States, Mexico, Brazil, as well as Abu Dhabi to go through here at this point in these closing races, and Australia as well. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Have yourselves a great day.